care about you, we should at least be making some sort of effort into pursuing it. Even if I disagree with this point of view.
A particular issue that becomes the center of life and everything, it makes no sense. The world is much bigger than
what issue you talking about, Sudan?
No, we're talking about Tom's abortion issue.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
It isn't the only thing. Taxes is the other one. Yeah, taxes and abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why would we be bringing up Tom's point right now?
Dave, well, Jay was worried about his soul being captured.
He doesn't have any soul today, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, his soul.
Right.
But okay, and that somehow brought up abortion.
Well, no, I brought up if Jay would ask Tom about the condition of Jay's soul, Tom would definitely say he has no soul.
I want to ask Bruce if he has any discussion with Fraud Anderley.
Oh yeah, I got some news report. Just picture that so I'm in the screen.
Oh, okay.
I called up.
Jay, you don't have any.
I called up the radio station Friday complaining that a libertarian was berating a really good speaker on the radio show, and said that they need more political activists from the local community on the air. And I told them about myself, and they gave me their email address, and I might get on
Tom says your soul is just you.
That'd be great.
No soul.
You did a good job. Keep up the good work.
You're dead. You're just dead. For mental health and
Absolutely.
9/11 equals inside job and election fraud.
We have several signs now around. Peace, war is not the answer. Peace, war is not the answer. People are not getting that. People are not getting that.
Hey, who was the liberal being derated, you know?
What?
Who was the liberal being...
I don't know his name exactly, but he wrote a book, and the gist of it was that during the 60s and 70s, the government was so in control, and now the corporations are so in control, and we got to...
somehow get it balanced that now?
Yeah,
instead of having such hegemony of one side or the other. Good point.
Yeah.
And what program would you be on, do you think? Somebody called you from Ohio Public Radio?
No, I called them to complain that this guy who was pro-corporation was given the learned talk show guest so much grief, and I thought he was on for 10 minutes, and I get brushed off and, I don't get...
You're talking about the Fred Anderley show, probably.
Yeah, Fred was letting get this guy all hot and bothered.
You think you might end up being a guest on the Anderley show?
That's what I'm hoping for.
That'd be great.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, let's get together on that. Dave, huh?
Well, what position would you take? Recommending the Peace Army or some other?
No, I'd be talking about the Peace Army for mental health and...
but you'd be talking about in the overall justice issues too.
And I'll be talking about nationalizing our health system.
Because you...
that would be nationalizing. That's the only solution. We got to break this down because it's a business now. It's not health care.
When corporations rule, who's the author of that?
Put the camera around, Dave.
Corten?
Corten? Could it be Corten you're referring to? Corten argues that in the 50s and 60s we had a much more balanced society. There was more of a balance between government and corporations, and now corporations absolutely rule. Corten.
Yeah,
that
Dave
could be.
Corten.
I've seen Corten on Fred. I heard Corten on Fred Anderley before.
Well, that was the article of this Muhammad, I think the guy that won the prize of discussing capitalism in its own sense, being only interested in profit as opposed to capitalism with a social interest. That when you invest someplace, that money has to not just be taken out and just leave, but have a hope for those people, for their future, to uplift them. But we don't have that anymore. I mean, it's all business. And the people's interest, getting them out of poverty, is just not concerned.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get on there. But could you easily talk 30 minutes about it? But Fred would probably get ready, and he'd be asking you some pretty tough questions, wouldn't he?
Probably.
Yeah. A lot of the problem you've had at times with people, like when you go to peace advocates, and they say they don't like the word army, or they don't like the word war, and so they shy away from it.
Waging peace at war space.
Yeah. Well, they just shy away from waging anything. So, I mean, you run into that problem when you try to put your book out at certain stores. So, Fred will be ready for you, I think. Fred will, if you get on. But I know you can handle yourself on that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Hey, let us
Go
know.
for peace.
Let us know.
Let me get a close-up
Let us
for
know
that.
you're on.
Yeah.
Doesn't it take you a long time to get on the phone? That's hard, because I tried one time and
Well, there must be.
Sometimes you got to call
Took me
back a
about 10
lot.
minutes. The one time I tried, it took me about 10 minutes to get on.
10 minutes.
But I got on.
They have a pretty good long list. Some people probably drop off too. And
Probably.
Some people probably drop off after 5 minutes.
Well, you can't hardly, while you're on the phone, you can't hardly listen to the radio. It's hard to listen to the radio because they want you to cut, so you can hear what they're saying. They want you to shut the radio
But that's
off.
okay. Once you get on, then it's between you and the show.
Yeah, well,
But
yeah.
no need to really listen to the radio.
No, but you might want to listen to the radio before. You miss some of the show if you're caught.
Yeah. Well, can't you listen to while you're waiting?
Tell us a little bit about your program for compassionate driving.
I lowered it a lot. I could barely hear it. I heard.
What you got going on there?
Driving was low.
Oh, yeah.
When I was waiting on the phone, I was listening because I could hear what
driving
was
where
going on
nobody
through
would
the phone.
phone.
So that's
And
how
you
I
watch
listen.
for everybody.
radio
You watch for everybody and everything. And you are compassionate about those. You don't want to harm anybody. You want to hurt
I
anybody.
listen to it over the phone.
And if you do that, you won't have to go through a road rage of getting mad and cussing at people and stuff. And that includes also working with my children on the bus. They are never at fault. You love them unconditionally. They're children. They make mistakes, and so if you work with them, you have to be patient. You have to. It takes time to educate them what is wrong and what is not wrong, what is incorrect. In the beginning, they act up, but if you consistently, like your own children, you love them unconditionally. And eventually, in a week or 2 or 3 weeks, they're great people. Everybody loves everybody else, and they love you.
And I don't agree with his overall.
Driving requires a lot of patience, understanding of the roads and all that, of course, safety.
He argues, why do they call
Basically,
this
it's the
genocide,
attitudes.
not, for instance,
If you are there to be, a safe driver, you watch for everybody. You are a defensive driver. You look at all the intersections. You don't worry about whose fault it is.
I think his interest.
You want no accidents. You want no problem, and therefore you watch over everybody.
And that's
very much
big
part of my
Was Mark's comment to you on the phone or on email?
email.
Okay, because he said you shouldn't call it genocide. You should call it some other sophisticated term.
Well, I like to read some of this stuff. I've been reading the read a recent government study of the casualty rates in Darfur. There apparently is significant differences of opinion. As soon as I know I'm being what you call it, I freeze up.
No, not really. You don't freeze up. You never.
I have to.
All we have to do is give you a good argument, and you'll come out of the
I have to. There's apparently 5 or 6 different studies on the number of people being killed in Darfur, and the probability is that the biggest numbers are probably somewhat are over exaggerated, and apparently what they do, there's like 5 or 6 or 7 different field studies done where they question refugees and they figure out. The fact is there's not much press there, so most of what's happening on the ground, there's nobody covering it. So what you end up with is refugee stories, mostly, and they postulate from interviews from people how many people were killed in the last, and they postulate and they sort of very rough on how they calculate. And there's some.
What do you think is the most pressing issue today? What would you like to say to the world on the
internet? Probably more
internet?
accurate than the 400,000.
Poverty problem.
The refugees fell.
I would rather see. I like the idea. G8 is talking about the end of poverty, and I support
These are
that.
done by aid workers,
And,
people that are not.
I tie it in with the word justice.
I don't believe
I say no definition of justice should be without the concept of ending poverty. Ending poverty is probably the most fundamental aspect of justice, in my opinion. So my top priority, now of course, I think there's a battering priority between Iraq and Sudan. That's why people are quibbling about
Congo, you're
the
not
numbers.
talking about
Iraq, I should say, Sudan and Iraq.
Congo, where
they're quibbling about the numbers.
The numbers that have
but
been given.
more
Up to
importantly,
2
I
million
think
people died over the last
we have to prioritize all these almost equally.
10 years maybe.
That,
I don't know
that
the time frame.
all
there.
the
Versus
places
Darfur, where you're talking
there's poverty,
about,
like Palestine,
you're
West
talking
Bank,
about,
and, Gaza,
you know,
and
200,
Sudan,
400,000.
and even Iraq. Just destitution.
I think there is a connection with the Christian evangelical
hot wars
community. Christian
should be addressed,
evangelical
of course,
community has
right
been
away,
interested
like in Iraq.
South
But
Sudan,
then beyond that, justice must
for a
include
long
the end of
time,
poverty.
whereas the U.S. really has no interest in
Yeah, you're welcome.
the Congo at all, hardly.